What is going on? I want to welcome you from Half Court. I am Sean Murphy, and today we have a lot to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. With the NBA preseason just starting and the regular season tip-off right around the corner, there are still some major looming questions about some stars in the NBA regarding their vaccine status. And the most notable of those players is Kyrie Irving of the Brooklyn Nets. Now, we did just see last week, finally, Andrew Wiggins was converted and actually got his vaccine, but we're in a situation with Kyrie Irving where, according to Brian Windhorst, we don't even know if he's going to get vaccinated. The Brooklyn Nets don't even know if he's going to get vaccinated, and if he doesn't, they have no idea what Kyrie's plans are, because the simple fact is, if Kyrie Irving does not get vaccinated, that is just one of many X factors that the Brooklyn Nets are going to have to face this season with Kyrie Irving specifically. Today in this video, I want to talk about the three biggest X factors of Kyrie Irving and why, in my opinion, he is the ultimate difference between an NBA championship for the Brooklyn Nets and another season of disappointment going forward. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, and I would love to know what you think in the comment section down below. Do you think that Kyrie Irving is a distraction? Do you think he's worth having on your team? Because we've been seeing a lot of differing opinions about this. Also, be sure to leave a like, as this really does help out the channel, helps other people just like you and me that love the game of basketball find this amazing channel. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and start with the most obvious X factor regarding Kyrie Irving this season, and that is his vaccine status. If you don't know, Kyrie Irving is unvaccinated, and according to a Rolling Stones article that came out, Kyrie Irving's really believing in some weird shit. And even though the NBA is not requiring its players to be getting vaccinated, there are certain cities that mandate them for athletes before they are to enter an NBA arena, including the city of New York and the city of San Francisco, where both the Brooklyn Nets and the Golden State Warriors play. Now, this was the drama with Andrew Wiggins, which, like we said, he did get vaccinated last week. However, Kyrie Irving remains the most notable player to decide to not get the vaccine. Now, the one thing about these rules is that they're extremely inconsistent, and not only for players, but even as a fan, I can tell you that it's extremely hard to follow, because even though players that play in cities that are requiring these mandates, so like Kyrie Irving, even though he would not be allowed to play in his home arena in Brooklyn, other players like Bradley Beal, who is also unvaccinated, would be able to come to Brooklyn and play in that arena, and Kyrie can't. And so right now there are a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of weird things that the NBA has to work out with these vaccination policies and these mandates. But the thing is that Kyrie Irving is not getting forced to get the vaccine, not by the Brooklyn Nets and not by the NBA. The simple fact is that the NBA as an employer does have to look out for their best interests, and there is nothing that would potentially derail an upcoming season quite like a COVID outbreak amongst their players and a COVID outbreak amongst their fans. And so unless we want to enter another NBA bubble, and unless we want to get back to another situation where COVID is spreading like wildfire and mutates to the point where the vaccine is not even effective, they are left in a situation where they have to give their players as many incentives to get vaccinated as humanly possible. Because the thing is that they have a lot of employees that they're requiring to get vaccinated. All arena employees, all media, a lot of people that are going to be interacting directly with players. And the only people in the NBA that are not getting requirements to get vaccinated are NBA players. And we are in a good situation where 95% of the league is currently vaccinated, but with Kyrie Irving, he is not giving any indication that he's going to change his mind at his time. Each time that he's talked about it in the media, he's gone on some bullcrap stand about how he would like to keep it private at this time. But according to multiple reports, including an article from the Rolling Stone, it does look like that Kyrie's thoughts and beliefs on the vaccine seem to be a little out of nowhere and a little out of pocket, to put it lightly. The long story short of this is that the Kyrie Irving vaccine situation does not seem to be going anywhere. And although we are going to be avoiding politics on this channel, it is not politics to point out that the COVID vaccine does work, and also that Kyrie Irving is in a situation where he has the choice to either sit out all of your home games or get the vaccine. And the fact that this could ultimately derail an NBA championship brings ultimate cause of concern. Former NBA players, even such as Shaquille O'Neal, are coming out publicly saying that the Brooklyn Nets should be actively trading and shopping Kyrie Irving. That is how serious of a situation this is, and this is something that a lot of former players are chiming in on. As of right now, the Brooklyn Nets and the Brooklyn Nets teammates, including Kevin Durant, have been nothing but supportive of Kyrie Irving, but the simple truth of the fact is that he is currently a distraction for the team. He is currently a distraction for the NBA, and I am really looking forward to when we don't have to talk about vaccines and we can just talk about freaking basketball, man. Come on now. Get your shot. Speaking of COVID vaccines and any health-related issues, that is the second X factor for Kyrie Irving, and it is his health. The Brooklyn Nets are ultimately derailed last season because of the overall health of Kyrie Irving and James Harden. Kevin Durant was in a situation where even though he was just a toe away from bringing this team to the Eastern Conference Finals and arguably even the NBA Finals, that doesn't mean that Kyrie Irving's health in particular is not perhaps the most important thing to this team's success. Because if he's not going to be available due for the vaccine, you definitely want to make sure that he can still be available due to his overall health and conditioning on the court. Because Kyrie Irving has missed multiple games with the Brooklyn Nets, including the vast majority of his very first season as a Brooklyn Net. And when Kyrie Irving was in that playoff series against the Bucks, the Brooklyn Nets went 6-2 in the NBA playoffs. They were having an easy coast through the playoff picture until they had to face Giannis and Milwaukee. And then ultimately Kyrie Irving does get injured and has to sit out the rest of the NBA playoffs and consequentially the rest of the seasons. And that's the thing about Kyrie Irving is when he is healthy, when he is on the court, when he is focused on basketball, he is one of the greatest players to play this game. He is one of the greatest ball handlers in the history of the NBA. He's incredibly dynamic as a scorer. In the 2020-2021 playoffs, he was even still able to go out and average 22.7 points a game, 5.8 rebounds, 3.4 assists on 47% shooting from the field. Kyrie is efficient, he is explosive, he is dynamic, and to not have that kind of production on your team when it comes to the playoff time is something that could be detrimental to the Brooklyn Nets. So his overall health is something that you always have to look at and always have to keep in consideration. Now, the third and final X factor for the Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie Irving going into this season is actually going to be his ability to coexist with James Harden and Kevin Durant. Remember, these guys really didn't play many games together this past season, only able to be in 13 games together with all three of them on the court. Now, ultimately, that team did go 10-3 once Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and James Harden were on the court together, and their offensive ratings were simply put explosive. But the thing is that Kyrie Irving might struggle being the third wheel in a big three. Being the third option is kind of what made Kyrie Irving leave Cleveland in the first place, as he felt like he was often either second or third fiddle to LeBron James and Kevin Love over with the Cavaliers. So for this situation, even though he does look like he is more than willing to put a lot of that to the side to play with some of his best friends, including Kevin Durant and James Harden, that doesn't mean that how they coexist together isn't an absolutely crucial fact to how they're going to ultimately do this season. The reason why I'm not really ultimately worried about the coexistence of James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving is because how much Kevin Durant does love Kyrie Irving as a person, but as a basketball player. And Kevin Durant was quoted about that as much, saying about Kyrie, quote, "Kyrie in particular, his brain, his mind is so different. The stuff that he brings out is unexpected. One-legger, off the right, shooting off the glass, left hand finished, right hand finishes, ball handling. I mean, I don't even know what you can get to deep into your brain as a player to be like, all right, I want to try this stuff." Something I appreciate as an artist like that. He's a joy to watch and a joy to play with. And if these are ways that Kevin Durant is feeling about playing with Kyrie Irving, I don't see a reason as to why this cannot continue to go forward in the future, especially with Kevin Durant already being signed to an extension with the Brooklyn Nets. And there are going to be a lot of questions as to whether or not Kyrie Irving wants to even sign another extension. There's going to be questions of if Kyrie Irving will be healthy and available for the Brooklyn Nets going into the season. And at the end of the day, you cannot make a definitive vote that the Brooklyn Nets are going to win the championship until you know if Kyrie Irving's going to be on the damn court. And that is going to be a question that the Brooklyn Nets are going to face all year long. Now, personally, I love Kyrie Irving. I hope we get to see him play this year because he is one of the best players in the NBA and is one of the greatest players of my lifetime. But the thing that always comes with Kyrie Irving is that there is always something extra. There is always a controversy. There is always something to talk about. And Kyrie Irving always says, I don't want to be a distraction. Yet with his actions, it clearly contradicts that all the time. What do you think about Kyrie Irving? Do you think he will be available to play in Barclays this season? I would love to know your thoughts in the comments section down below. But with that, that is going to do it here from Half Court. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time from Half Court. Be sure to subscribe.